everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Elden Ring Nightreign. Elden Ring Nightreign is From Software's return to the world of Elden Ring, but with a multiplayer twist. While the game does not have the same director as the original, it still holds the weight of being named Elden Ring. So with these expectations in mind, let's start to go over the gameplay and see what they cooked up for us. The gameplay of Elden Ring Nightreign can be best described as Elden Ring if it was a multiplayer roguelike. First, you pick a Night Lord you want to fight. Then you pick a character out of 8 and go on an expedition. Expeditions are your roguelike run and are on a time limit of 3 days. Your goal for the first 2 days is to roam around the map to as many points of interest as you can within the time limit before fighting a boss to end the day. Some bosses in this game are familiar if you played previous From Software titles, but there are many new bosses as well. Overall, it is a different experience than the usual Souls-likes From Software puts out, especially due to the multiplayer aspect, though you can play it solo. Now, considering this is an Elden Ring game, where does the story fit in for this? Elden Ring Nightreign takes place in the same universe as base Elden Ring. However, this is an alternate timeline story. Each Nightfarer is summoned to the Round Table Hold to gather their forces and dismantle the Reign of Night by defeating the Night Lords. Much of the story is told from the perspective of each Nightfarer as they write in their journal and regain their memories that were lost. Will the Nightfarers be successful in defeating the Night Lords forever, or is there more at play here? But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat? If you don't hate your friends already, this is a perfect game for you. Because by the end of your gaming session, you might have thrown some obscenities at each other. Just a little bit.
Yeah, what a hell of an opening. I love it. Yeah, the sun's gone, the nightmare's clocked in, and grab two friends who hopefully won't die instantly. So we obviously know who not to play with. Henrik the Wreck. No, I'm just kidding. He needs all the support that he can use in Nightreign because I felt, trust me, Henrik, I felt the same way. Elden Ring Nightreign is From Software's latest attempt to stress me out in co-op, okay? Like, this standalone spinoff takes place in Limbuild. It's a cursed remix of Limgrave where, you know, the night never ends and everything, and I mean everything, wants to kill you. I mean, the map's doing whatever it wants, and you've got 2 in-game days to stop a Night Lord from turning your party into a permanent campfire story, which, yeah, there's going to be a lot of spoken tales about me. Because I keep dying and dying over again.
Yeah, it is a bit of a different pace than what maybe you're going to be used to from Elden Ring or the Dark Souls games, or even Bloodborne, because you have a time limit. You can't just be like, okay, there's a group of enemies here, I'm gonna take out these over here. No, you kind of just gotta rush in for the boss and hope for the best. And that is why it's maybe not that great of an experience sometimes when you're playing solo, because the camps are not made to be tackled by one person. You can do it if you're smart about it, especially, but really when you got like 8 different enemies on you and you're one person, that's a little difficult, and it's not just a skill issue. It's the design of the game is not
what I was gonna tell you though, Henrik, is I feel like From Software was thinking about us a little bit in a sense where they did take out one of the hardest bosses in their studio's history, and I would say that would be fall damage. You know what I mean? Like, we turned it into Apex Legends here. I mean, parkour, and like no haystack. You know,
yeah.
What does Assassin's Creed got on Nightreign? You know what I mean? Like, you'll be totally fine out there. But you're so right. I mean, this time around, you know, you get to choose from 8 different Nightfarers. I mean, each with their own passive character skill and ultimate move. I mean, there's no real fiddling about with the spell stats, which is very, very nice. And if one of my teammates drops, I can literally punch them back to life, which reminds me of like
frustrating sometimes, mind you.
Okay. Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean, Henrik, you know, it kind of reminded me, you know, every time I have to, you know, like to punch somebody to bring them back to life, kind of reminds me of when you forget to eat those Snickers, right? It's like those commercials. You're not you when you're not hungry. Or no, so I just totally butchered it. So how does it go again? It goes, you're not you when you're hungry, right? It's something along those
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, that was kind of a funny addition. It kind of reminded me of like those V8 commercials, like, psh, you're not being yourself. But like, what did you tend to find yourself leaning towards when you were looking at the Nightmares? Like, I know for myself, I was scoping out Iron Eye. I mean, he's kind of like that team player with the laser focus. And, he can mark enemies so everyone can hit harder. He can blast the bosses with, a single shot from a faraway distance. Because I feel like the melee is still very, very tough in this game.
Well, that's the whole point, Souls-like games. If you're
Yeah,
not
that's
playing
true.
melee, you're not playing it correctly. At
Right.
least according to the vocal minority of the community.
So I should have been the Wilder the whole time,
But,
the jack of all
yeah,
trade who's
yeah.
built in with an extra life and a grappling
Exactly.
hook.
Yeah. But that's the good thing about this game. Yeah, you're not able to craft your own character. You're stuck with the presets of these set characters of 8 to choose from. But at the same time, they all have different kits and abilities to make the experience a little bit different. And not any of them are really like bad per se. It's just some are maybe better than others. Iron Eye's
Right,
definitely
yeah.
up there in terms of just being a really good choice because he is an archer, so you can keep your distance from the enemies, and his
And let your
utility is
teammates
really
do
good
all the
as
dirty
well.
work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Make the melee do the work.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
Go let the
me
Raider go run
personally,
in and hit like a boss and tanks like a
speaking
Voltor,
of
right?
Raider, that was my boy.
Oh,
And
was it?
towards
Okay,
the
there we
end, I
go.
was like, oh, okay, I like this Unga Bunga build, as people call
How
it,
did you
where
feel
you're just
playing as him and in the
smashing
solo
people.
runs? How did you feel
In the solo
playing him?
runs,
Yeah.
actually, he's pretty good for a solo run because he can take some hits.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the other characters, with the exception of maybe Guardian, they can't really take hits as easily. I mean, yeah,
Right, yeah.
Executor, which is the other character I really like playing, he does have that parry mode. It's basically Sekiro mode. Uh,
Yeah, right.
at the same time, I can be as good as parrying as I want, but going into that mode, you have a DPS loss. So comparing that to Raider, you're smashing people, you're having fun, punch.
Right.
It's a good time, even solo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like don't really expect any real story in this game, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna figure out like the whole golden order. I mean, save that for A24.
For when they make the Elden Ring movie.
Yeah, right, exactly. Let them have some fun with it. You know what I mean? But then, there are plenty of lore weirdness. I mean, everything's twisted, shifting. You're bathed in permanent moonlight. You know what I mean? And like one moment you're exploring the foggy ruin, the next it feels like the ground itself is holding a grudge on you. And yeah, I felt like it was gorgeous, Henrik. Friendly, absolutely not. And while the environments look great, after a few runs though, don't you feel like it started you start to notice like a lot of reused scenery, which I feel like From Software is starting to get really good at mastering recently. And I guess I think that's kind of my issue, though. After a while, it starts to feel repetitive, and then you start to go, yeah, I understand why they justified this to be a $40 launch compared to trying to build this thing up to be like, I don't know, a quadruple A Skull and Bones experience.
Well, at the same time, that is kind of typical for a lot of roguelikes. One that a lot of people have brought up in comparison to the gameplay of Nightreign is Risk of Rain 2, because that is a very good roguelike that people just praise all the time. It's an indie game, mind you, but it's a really good roguelike and basically the golden standard for that genre. And in that game, there are no procedurally generated levels. It's the same levels over and over again. They just get cycled. And
Yeah.
what gets cycled is the enemies, which is basically what they've done here. Is the map will change here and there on each run. And enemy placement will also change, but overall, Limveld is not going to be drastically different every time you go in there, which is actually maybe a benefit because you are on that time limit, and it's a very
Yeah.
punishing game if you don't actually make use of that time and you're falling behind on levels and gear. It's not a good time then. So
Right, but I don't know. I think I'll harper on that still when it comes to Elden Ring Nightreign. I mean, there still needs more variety. There's the same maps,
I'm there
recycled
with you. Yeah.
enemies in a sense. And they might have like new patches later on where they go, hey, look, we brought back another old boss from Dark Souls, and if that's cool to you, then great. To me,
Yeah,
it's
and
hell
that is an
to have to go through that
opportunity.
again.
That is an opportunity they have, is to bring in more bosses that people are either familiar with already from other games in their IP lineup, or just new bosses entirely. They have that opportunity to do that. But I do
But
get
before
what you're saying in terms of the replayability, and there's not a whole lot of progression at the end of the day,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And the thing
Like,
is, too, even before they even start doing all those kind of cool updates and stuff like that, like they
mhm.
need to fix the matchmaking because like that could use some love. I mean, no voice chat. There's no backfill when teammates bail, which sucks because you can go 30, 40 minutes in and then all of a sudden one guy drops
Yeah.
out and then you have to stick around and then all of a sudden you don't want to get penalized for in game because you want to bail out too, and then it sucks because you know you're gonna lose. You're not gonna get to the Night Lord, and then solo mode still feels like a dare. You know what I mean? And then like also, why does my inventory feel like a mini game alone in itself? I mean, I just feel like I hate sorting through shit, and then just the ability to not have crossplay is a major letdown in Nightreign because whether From Software knows this or not, the hardest boss ever is having friends. Having friends that want to join you along with Nightreign and then having to decide what device we're all going to go through. Yes, I have a PC. I could I could be bitching to the choir, right? But it's a real thing that a lot of gamers, hate, right? I mean, it's no different than like the Nintendo Switch 2 on day one requiring everybody to log into the internet. Like, really? Really?
Mhm.
Start playing games? Like, that's kind of lame. So, like, first I was maidenless, and now I'm friendless, Henrik.
But overall, I mean, was it a fun game for you? Did you enjoy the time in it, or was it just like, maybe I'll spend my time elsewhere. I won't be coming
Yeah,
back to this. What did
you
you
know,
think, Chris?
Henrik, there's room to grow, more content, more surprises, and maybe an endless run for those demonic maniacs who carried me throughout each new adventure. And Nightreign will definitely love it, I feel like. But also, it's frustrating to have to deal with the repercussions over and over again when a teammate keeps quitting halfway, and maybe that's because I suck at the game. Maybe it's not for me, but I don't know. I'm kind of with you, Henrik. I mean, until then, I don't know if I'll be rising together. I think I'm going to be rage quitting before the second night even begins. So, like, it's a pause for me. What do you say,
Okay.
Henrik?
Well, for me, it is a repeat. I do love these games. Maybe call me a masochist for that, but it's just I really enjoy the Souls likes that From Software puts out. And yeah, there's this little rough around the edges, and there's some things that could definitely be better, and I hope do get better. But it's a fun time, and I'm having fun with it with my friends. So as long as we're having fun with it, it's going to be repeat for me.
Hey, there we go. It's very split, and that's why we like to keep it real. But what's also great about Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show is we want to know from you, the gamers, how are you vibing so far when it comes to Elden Ring Nightreign? Let us know what's good.